Well, greetings again, armchair travelers. It's Daddy coming to you live from London with a recap of day two's meanderings. Well, I started the day by taking the bus down across London Bridge, and the day started on a very sad but poignant note when I came upon this memorial for, well, you may have heard some very awful things happened here a couple of weeks ago, and these are flowers that have been left by people, thousands of flowers and notes and expressions of condolences that have been left by people near the site where this occurred. Well, this morning I wanted to continue where I left off yesterday on the south bank of the Thames, exploring this area called the Embankment. And this is called Hayes Galleria. It's a renovated former dockside where ships used to return from India and China bearing tea and spices and silks. But it's now been converted into offices and shops, and this is where I sat and had my morning coffee, enjoying the view of this giant metal galleon. Well, London is a city of old and new, so we're going to start with some pictures of the new. There's some of the more modern architecture that has come to replace a lot of the older brick and stone buildings that were in this area of the city, so it's kind of been redeveloped and made new with some very interesting modern architecture, and that was lots of fun. So the skyline of the city is changing, and I hardly recognize it from when I was last here almost 20 years ago. All of these buildings are, well, the skyline's changing by the month, it looks like. All right, as they say, out with the new and in with the old. How's this for old? This is a 900-year-old wall. This is the surviving structure of an old church, and this is the reconstruction of the Globe Theatre on the original site, I think, where Shakespeare performed. This is not Shakespeare. There's the old man and the old man at the bridge, and there's some old and new. This is the Wiggly Wobbly Bridge. This is the bridge that was built for the millennium, that crosses the Thames and takes you to the foot of St. Paul's Cathedral. Didn't wiggle or wobble when I walked on it. And there is an aerial view of it taken from the museum. What museum is that, I hear you say? That would be the Tate Modern Museum. This was an old industrial, well, coal-burning power plant that has been converted into a very interesting art space. And this was the most fun thing I came upon in there. It's the Tower of Babel, going from the bottom to the top, ever newer and more miniaturized radios and music players, and the sound coming out of this was just a hoot. Lots of fun. Well, all that cultural edification leaves one hungry, so I went to a area which is renowned for its East Indian food, only I, as it turns out, was eating in a Pakistani restaurant, and I felt a little guilty because Pakistanis are Muslim. Of course, it's Ramadan, and they can't eat during the daylight hours, and there I was, scoffing away. So, to assuage my guilt, I went to Spitalfields Market looking for some ice cream. There's some famous gelati there. However, I skipped the gelati and I had some Turkish and Persian treats instead. Then it was on to the tube and out to the west end of the city, out to Notting Hill, where one can walk across the city, all through the city, through a series of parks. Kensington, Hyde Park, there's the Albert Hall. And through Hyde Park and along the Serpentine, there's a new water park that's dedicated to Princess Di, and this is the Serpentine where the swans love to swim, but it's not just the swans that love to swim there, it's also some, well, there are some swans there. This one came by to say hello. But they're also of more human kind. Surprisingly, you'll find the Lido, where people swim in the same body of water where the swans and the ducks are doing their thing. Okay, after surpassing my day's walk yesterday of 17 kilometers today, I was up to 18, and that's enough of that. So I came back to this area of the city, Russell Square, and again swung by J.M. Barrie's house to see if I could spot Peter up on the roof. And well, okay, so I'm just finishing with this last little image here. This is one I have to share with you. What do you think about this for reinventing these no longer used London telephone booths? Here, this one is taken on a new life as a little espresso booth. I love it. That's where I'm going to be having my coffee tomorrow morning. Good night.